when you build something, how happy you'd feel about it when you see it already built,
That I feel like there was a much bigger focus on trades and teaching kids that were in high school a hands-on craft.
Yeah. So seeing how the client is happy and how, they're comfortable in their home, and this is what actually makes me feel more happy myself.
I want to talk a little bit about how did you get elected for that? What is the process? What made you want to get into that?
At the time you'd be frustrated and you're ready to put everything together and see the whole picture.
How many other events are there going on? I mean, everybody knows, like I said, KBIS because it's the biggest one.
You can't even assume that if it's a common sense, people will have that common sense,
I always say, I mean, I don't know how you can do a project without those.
But okay, we still have the coffee table. He said, it's downstairs broken. Like, what do you mean it's broken?
Hello everyone, and welcome to Design Discussions with Nadine. I'm Nadine, and today's guest is Rima Nasr, and she is with Ilima Designs, and she's also the Texas Gulf Coast chapter of NKBA's president. How are you, ma'am?
Good, thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Talk about all things about design with you, your experience, and we're going to touch on a lot of things about NKBA and give a lot of people information on things you may or may have not known about NKBA.
So again, thank you so much for having me.
Sure.
It's a pleasure.
So let's talk about how you got your start in interior design and kind of give people an idea, how long you've been in the industry, and let's start from there.
Actually, the way I started with the interior design, it was a really funny story. I never thought of interior design as a career. As you know, I grew up in Lebanon. So the opportunities back there in a small country or small town as well is not as much, as here. So to get the education is, you have to consider what career you're going to go and limit it to what's available. So I never thought of interior design as a career. My dad is actually in construction and did that work all his life. But, I came here after I get married, and then we traveled overseas, and we used to travel a lot and change home. And after we were here for a while, it was about time to move again. So I got a real estate agent to come and check the house and tell me what I can change before I put it on the market. And when they took a look around the house, and the first thing was like, who did your house? I was like, what do you mean who did my house? Like, what designer did your house? I said, I did it. She said, well, you need to look at that to do it as a career and make money. So this is how, I get the idea. So being an interior designer.
So it didn't pop in your brain right away. Somebody had to embed it in your brain.
True. I always love architecture, and the first thing I think about when I wanted to go somewhere is those architectural buildings, the churches and all that. I love that, and I'm amazed about the old buildings, architecture, and how they do it. But I never thought about being interior designer or architect. So when that happens, like, okay, that's a good idea, but I'm not going to do it just like that, do it as a job. I wanted to learn it. And this is where I went back to school and study it.
That's great. That's an interesting story. You're right. Because for the most part, a lot of the people that I talk to, interior designers and architects also, everybody seems to have kind of had a very designer focused part of their life where they really thought about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Or they're very artistic, or it's something that they kind of knew that they wanted to do. So if it's something that you kind of just like fell into, like, oh, I'm talented at this, but I didn't really realize it. That's interesting.
I mean, I love to do it as a hobby before, but I never thought, okay, this could be my career,
Yeah. And I've seen some of your work, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm actually going to show some of her work throughout this video so everybody can take a look and see some of you have commercial projects that you've done and residential. What would you say you prefer most, residential or commercial?
I kind of love hospitality because it actually combines both the
Yeah.
commercial part and the
Mhm.
residential part. And especially now, considering like, for example, a hotel, the first thing that you need to think about is make it more homey. So when guests comes and stays at that hotel, they
Mhm.
feel more comfortable, like it is their home.
Yeah.
So I love hospitality, but at the same time, residential and especially kitchen and bath, I love those fields as well a
Yeah,
lot.
the hotel, home away from home.
Home away from home, exactly.
And then, yeah, as far as working in people's homes,
Yes,
that's a
yes.
great. I always say it's a great feeling to change the spaces for people and really see their visions come to life and make things more functional. So that's rewarding too.
That's true. And you when you're working with a new build, it's totally different than working with a renovation. They're both two different animals, and both have their challenges.
Sometimes I think new builds are easier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you're not restricted.
Yeah.
You get a blank canvas and you're starting from there. Versus when you're doing renovation,
Hmm.
you have to find the solution that fits with that built house.
Run into
Yeah,
issues that you
yeah.
didn't
Mhm.
anticipate and all that. So it's a little bit of a
But
challenge
I
sometimes.
like a challenge and I like to solve problems. So,
Yeah, well,
I love that aspect more than actually just having a blank canvas.
that's good. Now, getting into the fact that you are the NKBA Gulf Coast chapter president,
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about how did you get elected for that? What is the process? What made you want to get into that? How did that start?
So first starting going out of school, they didn't used to tell us, okay, you have to be active and get to know people.
Hmm.
So after I graduated, I need to get more people. I need to know people because in our industry is really important to get to know vendors, get to
Hmm.
know builders, get to know construction guys. You have to have your connection. And so I was like, I was stuck. I didn't know anybody. And to have my own business, I need to have people that I can trust that they're going to do a good job without me being watching them.
Hmm.
So I actually, tried to volunteer, put my name on committees, but I never been called. So one day I went to the NKBA event and like, I felt like very welcomed and, like, okay, I can do this.
Hmm.
Let me go ahead. I've heard that you can nominate and there is an election. So I went ahead and added my name and get elected and get hooked and served, as a membership for 3 years, then as a president for 1 year.
Okay.
And now I'm back again.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was a delay in the years, right?
Yeah,
That
see,
you
with the
did it.
NKBA, you have, once you serve 4 years on the board, you have to roll off for 1 year or
Hmm.
2 years at that time was, and come back again. So I got off. I got busy at that time. I was working full time with Huntington Remodeling, so I didn't have too much time to stay more active.
Hmm.
But then I got more another job part time and like, okay, I have some time. Let
Yeah.
me get back and, start getting more engaged and active. And, I'm a people person, so I like to get connected. I like to meet people and know people and help people. So
So what would you say then for anybody that is not a member of the NKBA? What is the benefits for them that's in this industry?
just like any organization, number one role for me and everybody, if you're not going to put some time into it, like just being a member, have it, the name is
Hmm.
not enough.
Hmm.
You have to be more active. You have to show to events. You have to sponsor events. You have to be on a committee and get connected with people. So there is a lot of benefits when it comes to as a member, as an individual
Hmm.
versus a vendor or contractor.
Hmm.
In addition to NKBA, have their own website, so you can have your profile and you could be searched nationally, not just locally. Yeah, people can search for like if you're a contractor and you're a member, people can search for
Hmm.
that contractor in that specific area. So there is a lot of benefits of that. In addition to, you'd also have if you are a member and you want to go to KBIS, which is one of the biggest show,
Yep.
you know, you get your pass free if you sign in with that beginning time. In addition to that, you are a member and you get that KBIS free access. Automatically, you can access IBS, which is another builder show. So a lot of people think of NKBA or kitchen and bath. So just because they see kitchen and bath, they don't think about the overall picture. When you're thinking kitchen and bath, you're thinking about all the material that you're going to use in the construction. And having KBIS and IBS partner together, you're seeing both. And you can, anything that you need to build that house, you can see it in that show. So it's a lot of benefits that people don't think about it. It's not just about, you know, having a name, I'm a member.
On the website or something like that, yeah. In
Yeah.
order to get the full use and benefit of it, you have to really use it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, very use it.
To network and, you know, all of those things. That's one of the things that I love about the NKBAs. There is so many events. And you can meet people, and you know, you see kind of same faces every time, but really you don't. You see the same faces, so you get to know people, but you always can meet new people in the industry, and that's great. Now, for as far as the certification through NKBA, let's talk a little bit about that, about how that works for anybody that wants to be certified with NKBA.
So with the NKBA, they have two types. Actually, they have badges and they have certification. Certification that covers all the material for to being certified from a building, electrical, you know, construction, color, all that material comes in and you do it in one test. Now, if you have studied interior design at school, those time is actually considered, and then you don't have to do the education time. And they do have actually online where you can purchase the books and study them on your own if you haven't done that. They do have videos that you can purchase. And then after studying, you do the test and you get the certification.
That's great. And what is the benefit of having that?
What's the benefits of being kitchen and bath? So when it comes to the drawing and, you know, kitchen and bath, actually they focus a lot on the spaces and how it's been used. So just if you look at the drawing, regular drawing for architect or for the interior designer versus NKBA drawing, they have a specific standard for the drawing and how to illustrate in the drawing, you know, all the element of the design. So it is there is a little bit different between them when it comes to a drawing as well, and the space planning.
And then what about the badges that you mentioned?
The badges, the good thing about the badges is just like many, you know, you're having a certification, but you're having it in a specific part of that certification. And what comes in handy, because if you haven't, let's say you are a consultant, you just you work in sale, so there is a badge for sale. If you focus on just the floor plan and the space planning, there is a badge for floor plan and space planning. And so if your field is just that, and all your career and your studies in that and experience in that, you can actually go and take that test and get that badge. So you don't have to study about everything and know everything. And
it's more of a specialty section,
exactly,
which is good for people.
But it shows as well that, you know, you are specialized, which gives you more credibility in your field.
And people love to see that.
Yeah. And we have a lot of badges, actually. We have color, we have new sustainability, we have floor plan and specification, just to mention a few of them.
That's good.
But there's 8 of them.
Now, getting back to events and KBIS, you know, we know that's a huge show. It was great seeing you over there too.
It's great to see you.
How many other events are there going on? I mean, everybody knows, like I said, KBIS because it's the biggest one. But there's events going around all over town or all over the country with KBIS, right? So is there any other big ones that you feel like people should definitely attend? I mean, I know there's lots of smaller ones.
National one is only there's KBIS and there's another one for women by invite only, which is, very, they just started 2 years ago. But locally, and each chapter of NKBA do host different events and different number of events. Typically here we'd have 4 events, 4 or more, but we are trying to do more. So we're trying to have at least once a month an event. So for this year, there's going to be at least 10 events per year. And there's going to be variety. We have some major events. We have 4 major events that actually that they are annual. They don't change. And we have events, CEU events, and mixer and mingle events. And we're going to try to make a new one that actually we have a new one coming up, which is the Polo Club on May 19th. So we're going to try to do at least one different outing, than traditional event.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do something different for, all the industry partner designer to get together.
Mixing it up a little bit. You got to do that.
Unique one,
Make it fun.
Special outing, make it fun for people, exactly.
That's good. Now, how many members roughly are in Houston?
We have about 800.
Okay, and how does that compare to other chapters? I mean, we're a huge city, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it depends on the size
of the chapter. So you have some chapters they barely have 500. You have chapters have 1,000. So it depends on the size of that chapter.
Okay.
There's small chapter, big chapters. There's 72 chapters of NKBA nationally.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
it's hard to keep up with all of them. So I want to talk a little bit about, everybody knows there's workforce shortages all over the place in different industries. So let's talk a little bit about your opinion on that and how that has affected our industry.
The first, in 2019, with the NKBA Kickstart the Next Up program, they partnered with Bridge Year, which is a company that actually, which is an organization, not a company, that goes to high school and introduce the skilled labor to high schoolers. A good way that they do that, because a lot of high schoolers drop out of school and they don't know that there is a lot of fields out there for them that they don't need education, and especially like electrician, plumber, they don't have to go get their degree to have actually a good job and good career. So in 2019, NKBA kicked off that program, Next Up Level, and I was part of it. And I saw how, I was volunteer at that day when we had that day at the high schools. And personally, I see it all the time that, it is really important to have hands-on activity. Sometimes you'd be explaining the idea to someone for many hours, or you'd explain it the whole hour, versus you come and just put it together in front of them and they will be able to do it. So hands-on activity, I feel it's more important than actually doing the teaching. And I saw that day, because a lot of times you don't feel, or you don't appreciate the work till you actually put it yourself.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that, imagine how when you build something, how happy you'd feel about it when you see it already built,
The accomplishment.
Yeah. So this is really important to do something about it locally. I mean, as a designers, one of the hard things is to find somebody who does their job right and does it from the first time. And it's really affecting us, because, it really, no matter how the design is well put up and thought of, if you don't have the skilled labor to actually put it together the right way and without complication and do it right, it's not going to turn out right. So it's really important for us to have the skilled people to do the job right. And so we have to do something about it.
And I think years ago, at least as I recall, when I was in high school, some not too long ago, we'll say, that I feel like there was a much bigger focus on trades and teaching kids that were in high school a hands-on craft.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, where you just don't see that anymore. I mean, to me, it's just it's amazing that you just don't see that in the schools anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You don't see it. I mean, it depends on what school you're going to, and that organization focus on very poor areas because those schools are really poor and they don't have that, they don't have the
To have
financial
programs
support and to be able to spend money on those programs. So they focus on that and actually show the kids what is it like to be craftsman, a carpenter, a painter. So it is really important for them to see. And at the same time, you'd be helping those teenagers find a career that they can do without having sometimes they don't have the financial support. Sometimes they don't like to study. So what do? End up in the street and not do anything. So it's better for them to find other opportunities and other skills that they can
and it's
benefit their future.
And it's needed out
Yes,
there.
definitely.
We need those people to do those kinds of things, and and
I mean, we can't do without those people.
Have the skills to be able to do it and and enjoy it, because there's a lot of people that enjoy those hands-on things.
Yeah, and let's say, for example, not everybody who said, "Oh, I'm a painter," and who knows how just to do the brush. You need to have the actual how to prep for a paint. They need the step by step to do the job right. Because if you don't prep for the paint is not going to turn out right? So
that's right.
we are actually planning. I'm actually planning for next year to have something locally. But we're trying to do big, so where the planning is in process to do something like that here locally.
Now, you mentioned getting back to helping. Let's talk a little bit about you some more and what you offer to other interior designers. Let's talk about that a little bit.
When I graduated, I actually took more architectural classes and I joined a couple architectural firms. The first one that was really big that, he helped me a lot. He was an architect that needed help, and I worked on all kind of projects from model homes to renovation, construction, houses for builders, multifamily homes. So I got a lot of skills from that, and importantly is actually, the construction document and doing that, with the architect rather than interior designer. And after that as well, I moved to another company but I was focused on Revit rather than CAD with the first company. And when I moved to that one, my hope was to actually work in all phases of the construction. But what I ended up being actually just doing the drawing, but not seeing the house comes to life or the project comes to life. And when it stays on a paper, you don't feel accomplished. So I was always going toward, I wanted to be part of all the design phases, the drawing and the selection, being engaged and involved with the client, and see the actual project come to life. Because at the end, it's the wow. Once you see it completed, this is when you feel accomplished and feel good about yourself. And more importantly, too, is when you see the client happy, because after all, what we do is for the client, not for us. So seeing how the client is happy and how they're comfortable in their home, and this is what actually make me feel more happy myself with what I'm doing. Then I moved as well. And between all those jobs, between moving from a job to a job, I always did a freelance work, working with designers, whatever they do, like a selection, if they wanted to do selection, and the construction document, elevation, 3D rendering. I do both CADs and Revit. So I try to fill what those designers want. So I worked with multiple designers doing that as well.
Renderings are so important in projects. We provide those to our clients too, and I always say, I mean, I don't know how you can do a project without those, even a bathroom,
But
you
see,
know?
it basically depends on the client because you have a lot of clients that can't visualize the
Yeah.
idea,
Mm-hmm.
can't put out the material together. So this is when it is needed to do rendering. But you have some client now, they're open, they can visualize it. The minute you come up with that idea, they can see it in their head.
Or if
And this is where important, you know.
Or if they're very particular on specific things that they want, and they know, I want that tile, and I want this color, and I want this.
It's very important for them to know what they want. As number four. This is the most important actually, because if they don't know what they want, one day they'd be, okay, I want this. Next day they want it. No, I don't like that. And sometimes you have clients that change their mind even on color. They tell you, I like this color. And the next day, like, oh, no, I hate that color. Like, you know, come on.
Well, they change their mind after they see it in the rendering too. They're like, oh, I thought I liked that, but no. You know, that's not going to be a good one for me.
So again, visualization is really important.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely. Now, on a closing note, I will ask you my all-time favorite question. Famous question is a funny story, and I already kind of know the answer to this, but the funny story that you have to share with everybody for entertainment value. This is a very interesting one. So let's talk about what happened with that project. Yes.
So we had a lot of problems with that project, but specifically came like, you know, it was a commercial project doing an office and as well conference room. So we, you know, after going long time with the selection and trying to get the, you know, the furniture that the client wants and get all the materials ready, the wallpaper, we had to wait a long time on a table, on the conference table, because it was on back order, and you know now how it is. So we waited a long time, and once we received it, we ship everything to a warehouse, not to the project site. So we were going all the time and checking and make sure, okay, when we get any furniture piece that's damaged, we check it and see what's the damage and see, you know, try to fix it. And we actually fixed a small table while it was in storage. But come here to the install day, and they're installing all the furniture for both the office and conference room. First, they put the conference table, but there's no screws. Like, how can you attach the legs to the table? And in that table as well, you know, it comes with the outlet, and that outlet has special connection to the wall. So it's not connection that you can go and just buy it and, you know, locally. So we had a hard time with that. But come at the end, they put all the chairs together. We said, okay, the table, we're going to have to wait on it. We still have a coffee table. So, okay, we still have the coffee table. He said, it's downstairs broken. Like, what do you mean it's broken? Did you break it on the way here? Like, no, we received it broken, but this was never mentioned that it was broken. So, you know, so the time, you know, it wasn't on the items that we needed to check because they were damaged. It wasn't on the item that they reported with a picture that it was damaged. And funny, like, okay, what can I do with it? I bring it here, like, you know, what's the point of having a coffee table if the top is totally broken and it's not usable? This is common sense, you know. So sometimes you know, you can't even assume that if it's a common sense, people will have that common sense, like, you know. So it was really at that time you'd be frustrated and you're ready to put everything together and see the whole picture, and comes that, like, you know, broken coffee table. What can I do with it? You know?
Oh, the joys of this industry sometimes, right? That's why I love asking those questions at the end, because everybody's answers are so interesting. I love the funny stories and the challenges that people have as a designer, and it's so funny to me. So, well, I am so happy that you sat down with me, Rima. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
No, pleasure is mine. Thank you so much again for having me. Here.
So, well, you know, we're going to see each other around a lot,
definitely,
as usual.
Definitely.
So, thanks again, and until next time, stay tuned for the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.